Right, those people at home, can you please mute yourself?
Hi.
Hello there. Wait, what's happening? What's popping? I'm looking at you.
It's not even on. It's not even like watching mom.
Yes.
Okay. On three, nobody talks. 3, 2, 1, no talking. Okay, now we need to settle down. Okay, the whole thing's recorded. Right, so it's obviously if anybody's going to be silly, it's going to be silly on the course who's silly. Right, so what you've got to be as you always are, right, which is completely awesome. Now, I think there's maybe 4 people that are listening in, right? Now, those 4 people at home, right, you don't need to say anything. All you've got to do is exactly as the class here is doing, right? Now, what I'm going to be asking you to do in a minute is, I'm going to be asking somebody in the room here to describe 3 genetic diseases. Now, what you're going to have is you're going to have the opportunity to go into your exercise books for literally about 2 minutes while I do the register. Right, then what I'm going to do is there's one person in here, and they're going to tell me the 3 genetic diseases that we talked about, facts and information about them, like symptoms, how we treat them, and how they are actually caused. Okay, so you need to open up your green book, you need to have a look, without any talk. I know you haven't been here. Okay, register. Jack, Finley, Chloe, Harley,
Yes, sir.
Scarlett, Nathan, Kyle, Mercedes, Josh,
Yes, sir.
Carolina, Dominica, Mohammed, Johan, Nimra, Chardonnay, Asghar, Kian, Mason,
Yes, sir.
Dylan, Mikey,
Yes, sir.
Marine. Stop it! Harvey,
Yes,
Robert,
sir.
you two need to settle down massively. Okay, so it's in the case of describing 3 genetic diseases. I want to know the names of all 3 diseases. I want to know what the symptoms are. I want to know what the treatments are. And I want to know where they're actually found or what the reason for them to actually happen is. Okay, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 3 people, right? And each person is going to tell me one of the diseases. Then the 4th person is going to tell me all of them. Okay, and I'm going to tell them all in paragraphs so they can focus. Put your hands down and choose people. Chloe, one of them, please. Right. I want to tell you everything you possibly can about Down syndrome.
It's 21 chromosomes as an extra chromosome. It affects the brain, so a bit slower than the average person. The features of the small eyes, small nose, small mouth.
Treatments?
Is it treatment?
No. There are no treatments for it, right? Because basically what they are is they have no medical conditions. All they've got is the symptoms that you've then told us about. That's great. And it's chromosome 21, they have an extra one. Jack, another one, please. Right, say it a bit louder for me, please. Yeah. so the chromosome 7 is faulty, right, reducing the lifespan. Right, what are the main symptoms?
What was the body use? Taking this possible.
Very good. What are treatments? Yes, what enzyme physiotherapy, we've got antibiotics, we've got all sorts of things. Right, we need to go to reel these off, Jack. Kyle, we've had Down syndrome and we've had cystic fibrosis. What's the third one? Brilliant. Tell me all about it.
Down syndrome happens to 1 out of 25 girls.
Well, that was the cystic fibrosis gene. It is girls. Is it 1 in
2000.
2,000?
It happens to 1 out of 2,000 girls. Some girls may not realise they have it until they get older. The symptoms are a wide neck, is it trouble hearing, the height is 4'8". I can't remember. And oh yeah, puppy hands and feet.
Good.
Yeah, and
Which chromosome is it?
the sex chromosome.
Brilliant. Treatments?
Um,
I'll just say none. None, right? So it's basically the same as Down syndrome or any treatments. Right, it's one of those things that happens. That's brilliant, Kyle. I love the way you were talking. I love the way you were talking about it all. That was great. And it felt structured, right, which is exactly the way that we need to do it. That was good. Well done. Who shall I choose? I'm going to choose Mikey. Right. All three, please, with factual information about all three.
Cystic fibrosis is 1 in every 25 people get a faulty gene, because they don't know they have it. If they get with someone else that has the faulty gene, and the child will have cystic fibrosis and the Down syndrome.
You haven't told me anyone knew about cystic fibrosis. You haven't told me what it is. You haven't told me the treatment. You haven't even told me the chromosome. Well, you do know. I know you know. Do you want to do the whole lot, Nathan?
Yeah.
Go on then. Can you try and do it without looking down for me? Thank you.
Right, cystic fibrosis, up to 1 to 70,000 people can get it. And chromosome number 7. The mucus is thick and it clogs up and then you have up. And the triggers to it, enzymes, antibiotics, is it therapies or?
Physiotherapy, you know, in the battery on the back.
Yeah,
I'll do cystic fibrosis. That's good. Carry on.
Down syndrome, 1 to 900 people can get it. Chromosome number 20. Yeah. And the symptoms are is it the eye
Yeah, and I've got upturned eyes, small eyes.
and
Okay, sorry to be real pain. Mr. Wilkinson, has he moved?
He's over in this room over here.
Do you mind if we run?
No, of course not, no.
Go straight to
Go on, Nathan.
Mitosis and there's a flat face.
Face? Yeah.
And the training cert is none.
No.
And Turner syndrome happens to 1 to 2,000 girls. It happens sometimes after puberty, and there's no treatment to it, but the symptoms are the height and puffy eyes, puffy neck, and puffy.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, that is exactly what everybody should be doing. Right, we should be coming out and you should be just telling me all these facts. Keep facing forward. Right, so even those people at home, what they should be doing, they should be able to do exactly the same thing. Right, now, just as a recap, right, that is the number of cells that are in your body when you become a fully grown adult. All right, so once you stop growing, right, that is the number of cells that you'll have in you. All right, then what we did is we started to look at, right, what actually happens to grow. Right, and every single one of your cells, what they do is they start off like that, right? I might say parent cell, but it's one of your cells in your body is doing that. Then what it does is it copies the chromosomes. Then what they do is they line up down the middle. Then what they do is separate, and then you've got 2 daughter cells, right? What do you think the difference between once that's actually divided there, that daughter cell and that cell? What do you think the difference is though?
Like, on the first one, it says, parent cell, like, they, like, that's just that, but like, on that one, it's like 2 genes for like 5.
No, it's not that. Here. Sorry? It doesn't grow. That daughter cell, once that's actually split down the middle there and turns into 2, that will be exactly the same size as that. Yeah?
Should it be the same?
Exactly. They are identical. Right? So what you do, that's brilliant, right? What you would have is that's a skin cell there, right? Basically, the skin cell, it duplicates the chromosome, so it goes all wiggly wormy like that. Then they line it down the middle, then they separate, and then they become that. And how many skin cells have I now got? 2. So what you've done is you've grown. Right? So if every single cell in your body did that immediately, right now, and they did it in the next few hours, you'd be twice as big. Right? But obviously, you're never ever going to be twice as big because there's loads of skin cells dying, there's loads of intestine cells dying. Right, but your replication rate is higher than mine, right? Mine just stays the same. I grow a cell and I lose a cell, right? Because I kind of stay exactly the same, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the cell cycle. Now, at the end of last lesson, what I asked everybody to do was draw this, okay? Now, did we finish it? Can you just open it up into your green exercise books, please? Robert?
There's my green book and my pad.
No? You can't handle it in. Right. Now, this is then applying to people at home as well, right? I've obviously got everybody's exercise book, so it's very bad timing in taking them all in. Right, so for those people at home, what you need to do is you need to then write it into your purple exercise book, right? Where everybody in here is then going to write it into the green exercise book. Work on the assumption that you've got this diagram done in your green book at school, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about and discussing exactly what goes on with this. Right, this is the cell cycle, right? What we're going to do is we're going to start here. And I'm going to explain it, then what you're going to do into your exercise books is you're going to explain it back to me. Right? What it does, it starts off with a cell here. This here says chromosomal replication and cell growth. Now, what that means is that cell starts to replicate itself. It starts to grow. And it is the cell itself that then grows. It grows and grows and grows and grows, and it's called the interphase. When it gets to here, it's actually the DNA that then grows and splits. So the cell itself, what it does is we start off with a cell like that. At the start of this point here, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because everything is then growing within it. When it gets to here, the actual nucleus in the middle gets bigger. And then what it does, it splits. And when it gets to here, what we made?
Cell.
2. So what you got is you start with 1, which is the parent cell. It goes round here, round here, round here. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. When it gets to here, the DNA then gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And at this point, it splits. And how many have I made? 2. Right? And that is the actual splitting of a cell. All right? This phase here is called the mitotic phase. This is the bit that you're going to get asked about in your exam, which is mitosis. All right. Now, just for the first about 2 minutes, what I want you to do is just explain to me what the cell cycle is in your words. So I'll just say it again. Start with one parent cell. That parent cell grows and grows and grows, and it tells you that there. It grows and grows and grows and grows and grows until it gets to here. Then what happens is the nucleus then grows and grows and grows and grows. Then at this point, it splits and you've got two. Then what happens? It does it again. Then what happens? It does it again. So what I've said there, underneath that diagram, I want to summarise into your words, please. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask somebody to tell me it back. Any questions? You won't have this diagram, will you? Right? Right. Those people here that haven't got the diagram, what you need to do is leave the space. Right? Then I will then put this PowerPoint onto Google Classroom, right, along with the video. Right? And then what you can do then is you can then get the actual picture yourself. Sorry, it's in your green book. Yeah, so this is in your proper book. Right? Yeah, so directly under this diagram, I now want you to explain to me in your words what actually happens with this cycle. One parent cell here, right? Literally, you can almost do it as a bullet point. At the start of the cycle here, it grows, cell growth. It grows and grows and grows. It literally gets double the size. That cycle is called interphase. When it gets to here, the DNA and the chromosomes then start to grow. That stage is called mitotic phase or mitosis. Okay?
Are we carrying on?
Yeah, just carry on. Just put another date, right? And then we're carrying on. 16? 15. Just do the title of the cell cycle, and then Scarlett, just leave yourself a space for you to draw that. Yep.
What's happening?
Right. This is then the mitotic, right? So I'll just write that word on the board for you. Okay. So that is then mitotic, and the whole process is called mitosis. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through that process in detail about what actually happens. So just while you're writing, I'll repeat it again, then I'll shut up. One parent cell, when it goes into interphase, what it does, it grows, it grows, it grows. Cell growth. All the way through interphase, what it does, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Once it gets to a certain size, then what happens is it goes into mitosis or the mitotic phase. That is then when the DNA grows. When the DNA is grown to the right size, when the cell has grown to the right size, next step forward, it then splits, and you've got two. What do those two cells then do? Grow, 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 split, two more. And it keeps on going.
Can you do it in bullet points?
Yeah, doing bullet points.
What is it called? Which one?
This purple phase is called mitotic phase, which is that one, mitotic. So M-I-T-O-T-I-C, mitotic. And the actual process itself is called mitosis. This big pale blue one is called interphase. It's kind of like the bit that's in between. Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. So have you done it? If you get a question on this, it's probably going to be grade 5, grade 6, grade 7 question, right at the top end. Right, you just literally got to remember the wording. Mitotic interphase. Okay, then we're going to go into mitosis in a lot more detail. You then need to know the bits of it. Yeah, so what happened at the start? So at the start of it, you've just got one normal parent cell, right? Just one cell. So one of your skin cells, one of your hair cells. What it does, it grows. right? So literally the cytoplasm gets bigger, the nucleus gets bigger, the cell membrane gets bigger, everything gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That is then the interphase. Right, then when it gets to the right size, where it's basically twice the size of a normal cell, what then happens is the DNA then starts to replicate, which is your mitotic or mitosis phase. Once the whole cell is double its size, it then splits into two, and you get two new daughter cells. Those daughter cells then turn into parent cells, and then the process happens again, and then again, and then again. Yep.
Why do the cells eventually stop growing, like splitting?
Remember when we were talking about the Hayflick's limit?
Yeah.
Right, so that is then the point. So once it gets to once a cell is split so many times, then you just can't split anymore. Right, so your skin cells and stuff like that, and that's when you start getting thinner skin, right, and possibly when you get bald, right, and kind of things like that. Right? So eventually it will stop. Right, and when it finally stops, if your heart cells then stop replicating, then you start having heart problems. So that's why you start getting ill when you're older.
Oh,
So you guys, right, and up to probably age of about 20, 21, are in your absolute prime, you'll be at your strongest, all the muscles will be at their strongest, right? You'll be at your most powerful, and you want to learn the most, right? You're absolutely in your prime at this moment in time.
how do you feel like illnesses now then?
Because bacteria, viruses, things like that will attack anybody.
Alright.
All right, so, and just like if you run up the stairs and you pull a muscle, right, it's nothing to do with your age, it's the fact that you just hurt yourself, right? But you would probably replace those muscle cells in a week, where it would take me 3 weeks, because your bodies are so much better than mine, basically. Here.
So if you break your arm, it'll take longer for items.
Yeah. If my mother-in-law broke her arm, she's in her 80s, it would probably never repair, right? Because she's then at the point there where it really, really is difficult to repair things, right? Where you guys, right, you will repair your bones very, very quickly. Right, Finley, don't start letting me stop stage you, right? Because that'd be the first time in a year.
So if you got rid of the hatred, then you just keep getting bigger and littler.
No, you would never get bigger, because my cells haven't finished replicating yet, right? But the Hayflick limit basically says that at some point they will stop, right? But if you probably, if they got rid of the Hayflick limit, then you'd probably just live a lot longer, right? Because my heart cells would then just keep on being all right, where at some point they're going to stop.
But isn't that a bad thing?
But
But isn't that a bad thing?
it is a bad thing, yeah, but obviously we can't control it. We can't control the Hayflick limit, right, unless we then started turning all our cells into stem cells.
It's sick.
It would, I mean, you know, that's eternal, you know, living forever, isn't it?
Oh, but it'll destroy the earth.
It would destroy the earth, yeah. All right, okay. Now, what I've just done now is, just gone through, has everybody finished, or do I need to give you another minute? Right, I'll just give you another minute, right, because some people may well be sketching that as well, all right? I just think all this stuff is amazing, and the fact that during this lesson, how many times did I say your cells are going to get to there? About 250,000. So during this lesson, right, at a random guess, right, about 250,000 of your cells are going to finish this, right, and they'll split and finish splitting during this lesson.
Does it go one at a time or do you go once?
Just, if you think there's 37 and about 10 zeros after it, right, maybe 100 million are in this process at any one point.
Jesus.
Right? You just got to think about the sheer scale of the number of cells that you've got. Right? It may well even be more than 100 million. Right? It's probably wrong. It's probably in the billions that do this all the time.
How do people know that we've only got like 37 trillion cells?
Somebody maybe chopped them up and counted them.
So you just chopped up a live pit, you just chopped up a live pit.
What they'll do is they'll work out, they can work out the size of the cell, right? And then what they'll do is they can work out the volume of the person, and then what they'll do is they'll try and work out the number of cells from that. You're never going to get it exactly right, but it's just like an approximation.
Is that more cells than a controller person? Then there's a smaller
The
person.
bigger you are, the more cells you've got.
Oh, Is having more cells good?
You're sorry?
Is having more cells good?
Well, you're bigger. If you think being bigger is better, then yeah. But if you think being small is better, then whatever. Doesn't matter, does it?
Why did you say that? Because I watch yours.
Right. Now, cell cycle. This is again, right, what I was then talking about here. Parent cell, this is then at the start of interphase. It then goes all the way through interphase. This is then the starting of the mitotic phase. It then goes to that, goes to that, goes to that. You need to know, right, the actual processes and the practicalities of what actually happens in mitosis. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you three versions. The version I'm going to be wanting you to actually draw looks like this, right? This is the one that they're going to put on your exam, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two of the versions of it first, just in case they do something else. Then this one summarizes it all in the way that I would draw it and the way they're going to show it in an exam with what's happening. Okay, now if I go back to the very, very first one. Okay, lots and lots of clicking. Right, so what I do is I start off over here with one cell. Inside that cell, let's say it's one of my skin cells, it's got 2 chromosomes. How many chromosomes have I actually got in my skin cell? No.
2.
No. We've gone through the numbers. We've done the numbers before. No, in one cell, how many chromosomes have I got?
37.
Yeah,
37.
37.
37.
Right. Sorry, got distracted then. Chloe, how many chromosomes in one cell? How many?
47.
Nearly. Take one off. 46. Every single cell in every single body, right, by sperm, your egg, and your red blood cells, has got 46. Now, I've done it here with 2 because it'd be an absolute nightmare to try and draw 46 chromosomes in this and then splitting it. Now, this is then the start of the mitotic phase or mitosis. You start with 2 there, and what I've done is I've coloured them, right, just to show what happens to them. The first start is they replicate, right, and what they do is they go like that, the red and the blue. What it actually looks like is, you actually start with a chromosome, it's like a line, and when they replicate, what they do is they kind of grow extra legs off and they actually look like crosses, right? With a little joint in the middle there, right? That is then the extended chromosome. Then what happens is, it then starts to split, right? And it literally starts to squeeze in the middle, and then I've got 2 there, and I've got 2 there. The next stage after that is then, I've got 2 daughter cells. Finley, what can you tell me about that cell and that cell?
The exact same.
They're identical, right? They are a clone, right? Exactly a clone. The slightly more complicated version is this one, and on this one, what I've done is I've then done 4 chromosomes. What happens is they replicate themselves. So now what I've got is I've got 8. I've got 2 of the little red ones, 2 of the big red ones. Then what they do is start splitting, Mikey, what can you tell me about that cell and that cell? They're exactly the same. That's mitosis, skin cell to skin cell. Now this one, right, is sort of a little bit clearer, I think, and it adds in more stages. There's your parent cell. I've only got 4 chromosomes in it, but there should be 46. Then what they do is they duplicate themselves and they become like a little cross shape. So where normally what it would be is, it would normally be a line, it then becomes a cross. Then they line up down the middle. And that's absolutely incredible in the fact that all those chromosomes will just line up in the middle like that. Then what they do, what?
Is it long?
Oh yeah, I mean it's not as if they all sort of bend around and they kind of line up down the middle. Because basically what you know that the cell's been split. Then where you've got the cross, right? So it's my hands like that, right? Where they're kind of linked in the middle there like that, right? So that little joint there in the middle there is where my wrists go. then what happens is they rip apart, right? And when they rip apart, that line there is the same as that line there. That dark green line there is the same as that one there. And they rip apart. Then they make that and that, then they make that and that. Don't they? What can you tell me about that cell and that cell? They're exactly the same. How many have I made? 2. So what have I done? I have, doesn't say there, grown. Okay? Now, in your exercise books, what I'm going to want you to do is, I'm going to want you to write the title mitosis, right, which is MITOSIS. Then, you could probably be good to do this maybe down full page, right? So it might be worth actually just going to a new full page. Above that, I then want to draw all of this and then the explanation on the right-hand side. Now, if you want to add anything else into this, into these explanations, then do so. Robert, okay? Then add in slightly more explanation. Do you have to add more in? No, you don't, no. It's just the way that you might remember it. Now, I've tried to add in as much as I possibly can that makes it clear. So, new page, mitosis. I then want to draw these. If you have got colours, do it as colours, but obviously make sure that those coloured little chromosomes carry through. So if it's red and green, then do it red and green. It doesn't matter. Do you want to turn the lights on? We'll be all right.
Can you hear that?
It's fine.
Okay. So people at home, you've got to do exactly the same thing. You need to write the title mitosis above this, and in your purple books, you then need to draw that cell, right? Underneath that cell, then what you need to do is you need to maybe do a big red one, a small red one, right? If you haven't got colours, right? There is some pencil frames in front here, if anybody in the room. Now, obviously, I can't give them to you at home, right, unless you want to come and get them. Okay? Do them across. Then somebody, when I finished, or when you finish doing this diagram, is going to explain it back to me in as much detail as they possibly can. Can I not pick you?
So actually, let's see if you're listening.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could actually tell us about you yourself.
I think all of it.
Shut on. So, you can't do
What?
every 2 things.
You don't want me to pick you?
Let's see if you're listening.
That's good, that's not good.
That's no, so that's good because like we're doing it online. Right, can you see who's on?
I can, but if I see who's on, then they lose the picture.
So who's on? Can you just do it quick?
I'm going to let you know.
It's literally always online. He's the one in the chat.
Who's on?
So you got
That's me.
It's just one person. Sprint section.
No. So he's on.
No, man.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes, man.
Oh, there's 4 people. Oh no, me twice.
Hey.
It's just kidding. So you should give them merits. You should give them the merits and money. The work.
Money as well.
Money.
You don't deserve any
I
money.
like to tell it as well, bitch. I have this. I get to
All right, okay. All right. That just surprised me. There's not more people than that.
They're all busy just saying, yes, I've got 2 weeks off. Let's just chill.
Yeah.
6 people. No, I'm surprised he's not on it. I'm surprised those 2 aren't on it. And I'm surprised.
What's mistake?
But
well, we
Sadie's isn't on it. But what I'll do is I'll just send a message home, right, and then as a treat they can watch the video in Google Classroom.
Internet's not working, sir.
Might be asleep. Yeah, might be.
Probably will be.
This is probably easy.
No.
No,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that's
Don't
Right,
do that.
so I play games.
Yeah, and I'm tired of
I won't
telling
go
you.
back, come on.
You.
Sure. No, you're not. Cheeky. Yes, Eminem.
You actually played the game. You go forward.
Grabbing on the sticks.
So,
We say Robert.
is that there just time?
I know, as you're doing this, just think about exactly what's happened today, right? And I realise it's going to take a while, right? The colouring of it actually does help. And a good 6-month question will be, explain mitosis. Right? If you're asked to explain mitosis, what you need to be able to do is you need to be able to say back all of this. Right? I can tell you what, if you understand it, it's dead straightforward. Right? It does kind of make sense. You think that it's growth. Let's start with that. Who am I going to choose now? They're right. Shh.
Look, I got some clothes.
Let's stop somewhere. Yeah, man. Mason.
What is that?
Then let the news come. Shh. Need to focus. Robert.
So we finish at 35 past. You finish at 35 past. We finish quarter to.
Right, close. You've done it, Robert. You haven't drawn it. You need to draw it, because when you go in, you've got a copy of the degree book. Okay, anyway. I don't like drawing either, but drawings will help. But if you just write that down there, don't mean anything to you when you come back to us. But, shh. Finishing. Right, you need to be ready. You need to ask you that.
You're asking me.
No, I didn't say that. I'm going to ask somebody around ish. Right. So I need you to be able to, without looking down, literally tell me exactly what happens.
It can be a simple flight.
Well, that is quite, so that's as simple as it gets,
Yeah, but
really.
when I say like, the parent cells and then like, it makes an identical couple and then like it lines up and then.
What you need to say, you've got a parent cell. The chromosomes within the parent cell double to make identical copies of themselves. They line up in the centre. Then the chromosomes begin to move apart. Then the cell begins to split. Right, you think that's a 6-mark question. There's a pretty big hint here, isn't there? Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6.
Wait, is that GCSE?
Yeah, this is GCSE. Every single thing we do could be on your GCSEs now. Right, in year 9. Right, so what we do is in science, it's all, whole of year 9, 10 and 11 is GCSE.
What's that thing where you cut open an
Well, dissection, we can't do that. Right, but anyway, Keen, don't change the subject about it, right? This topic we're doing at the moment is cells topic, which is the biggest biology. The next topic we'll be doing will be an atomic structure and periodic table ones, which won't be that long, right? This is the biggest topic out of everything. Sorry? I actually haven't got any. You have to take the correct to it, I think. Right, I'll start now. You can try it, but it's a bit old. That's the most juicy one there is. All right. Robert?
Stop.
Okay. Right. Just going to give you about another minute or two. Right, and then somebody's going to explain it all back with the screen on. Then somebody's going to explain it all back with the screen on. What?
Let them. I say them.
Yeah,
I say Mohammed gets
So you're the people.
So I say, yeah, you're
So you're the people you have to play the game.
Well, you know, they could be watching a film while they're listening.
No.
Yeah,
last thing they saw it on when they came off, and then I obviously not that great, so we can.
Yeah, what? We got we speak.
Round three. 3, 2, 1. No talking. I'm going to choose. No, put it on side. I'm going to choose. Harvey. Right, explain it back to me, please, with the diagram on. I want you to tell me now what is mitosis. Yeah, I can look at that. Yeah, you can look at that. Yeah, then Mason, case call it, please.
So mitosis is, do you want to explain more?
Yeah, I want you to explain it. Yeah, tell me what happens. What mitosis?
I'm going to copy into the word that I learned.
Okay. There you go.
The first is the parent cell. It's got, yes, it is a parent cell, and then I keep it like that. Yes, there's a parent cell that's, I don't know what I'm I don't know what I'm saying.
Go on, Charlie.
Parent cell that copies of those that I override with piece of work and do very separate cells
So what you've done is you've then just told me exactly what then goes on down there. I'm going to choose Finley, right? Tell me please, what is mitosis? No?
Right, so there's a parent cell, and the parent cell doubles the size, and the chromosomes inside create like a sort of identical chromosome thing. And then they all line up in the center of this cell, and the cell splits apart, and then it creates two daughter cells.
Two daughter cells.
Which are identical.
Right. So what you've done is you've told me the basics of the process, right? We just need to kind of make sure that we're getting every single stage in there. Right, so we start with the parent cell. What's the first thing that happens is the chromosomes double. Right, so that is then mark number 2. Then when the chromosomes are doubled, they then line up along the centre. When they line up along the centre, then they start to split. When they start to split, we then make 2 cells, and the final part is 2 daughter cells. Right? Now, last thing that we're going to do with this is, we're not going to do that, is we're just going to double quickly look at the cell cycle to do with cancer. All right? So, if I display this video, nobody needs to talk now. Shh. Charlotte?
Today's topic is the cell cycle and mitosis. But before we get into cell cycle and mitosis, we want to make sure and talk about why these words are important and how they relate to real life. So if I say the word cancer, this word probably means something to you. Either you know somebody who's been diagnosed with cancer, or you've heard about it on the news. There's many different types of cancers. But one thing they all have in common is that they are caused by uncontrolled cell growth. That means somebody's own cells grow out of control. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other contributing factors. For example, for some cancers, having genetic links, meaning it runs in the family, can make somebody more likely to develop it. Or having excessive exposure to UV light for some cancers. Those are risk factors that can increase your risk, but the major cause of cancer is uncontrolled cell growth. That also means it's something that is not contagious, and it's something that anyone can develop. You have to realize that all the cells in your body are very, very busy, And they're either in one of two different phases. They are either in a phase called interphase, and during interphase, they are just growing, they're replicating their DNA, they're doing their cell functions, or they are in mitosis. Mitosis is a fancy word that means that they are dividing, they are making new cells. Well, if you think about the cell cycle, whether they're in interphase or mitosis, it's kind of like a pie graph. They're spending about 90% of their time in interphase. Most of the time, cells are not dividing. Most of the time, cells are in interphase. They're growing, they're doing their daily cell functions, and they're replicating their DNA. Most of the time, cells are not dividing. Now, depending on what kind of cell, it might do mitosis more or less often. For example, your hair follicle cells, they do mitosis frequently, which is why your hair can grow up to half an inch every month. But other cells, like, for example, your brain cells, your neurons, some of them actually do not perform mitosis, which is why if you have some type of major injury to the spinal cord or to the brain, sometimes those do not heal very well because those cells.
Right, so what it's basically saying there is every single cell in your body is doing mitosis. Scarlett, which one did it say grows very, very fast, or does mitosis very, very fast? Interphase, no, it's not interphase, whoever said that to you. I just tweeted right? The cells in your body, they that much a month. Sorry? Hair, right, your hair is incredibly fast at growing, right? There's a lot of mitosis, right? That is then why your hair keeps on growing all the time, okay? Brain cells, right, some of them don't even do mitosis at all. So basically, if I damage a brain cell and kill it, it will never come back again, right? It's just the way that the complicated cells are. So something that's incredibly complicated, like a brain cell, is not going to end up replicating, where a hair cell is very simple. That is then why every single time you have too much to drink and you kill those brain cells, they ain't coming back, right? So you guys at the moment, your brains are replicating, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It's the worst possible time to actually drink all that damage stuff. Robert?
Does talking to a brain cell?
No, not quite the same. Alcohol's bad. What?
E6 damage your brain cells.
I don't know. I don't really know that much about E6, but anyway.
Cells, they do not replicate. So mitosis is very important in order to generate new cells, which can help with growth. And also, if you damage your cells, if you're walking down the street and you have some kind of accident and you skin your knee, well, you're going to need to repair those damaged cells. You're going to need to be able to do mitosis to make those new cells. The thing is, you don't want your cells to always be doing mitosis. Because if they're always doing mitosis, then they're always dividing, and then they're not carrying out their actual function. And that's a problem. That's where checkpoints come in handy. See, along the cell cycle, there are checkpoints to check that the cell is growing correctly and replicating its DNA correctly and doing everything it's supposed to do correctly before it divides. And what happens if the cell fails its checkpoint? The cell does something called apoptosis, which basically means the cell destroys itself. It self-destructs. This might seem kind of harsh, but actually it's really important because it ensures that you don't have these cells that are messed up continue on and divide. You don't want damaged cells to continue on and divide because they might not do what they're supposed to. They might start to grow out of control. They might not be regulated correctly. That's where cancer cells come in. See, cancer cells, as we had said, are your body's own cells that are growing out of control. So they're not following the rules of these checkpoints. They're flying past the checkpoints, going through the cell cycle, and frequently doing mitosis, which means that they're dividing very, very often. And so by doing that, they can grow into these things called tumors, which are really a mass of cancer cells. So we're not really sure what causes them to escape these checkpoints. There's a lot of risk factors that that a person can have that can increase their risk of this happening. But when these cells get past these checkpoints and grow out of control, they become a problem because many times they can travel through the bloodstream, they start growing out of control, the body can't identify them and destroy them with the immune system. So this becomes an issue. And usually, one of the treatments that somebody who has cancer will undergo is chemotherapy. And this works by targeting cells that go through the cell cycle quickly and hit mitosis quickly. And
Right, so chemotherapy, what it is, it's loads and loads of really nasty, horrible chemicals that are put into your body, right? And what they do is they attack the fastest growing cells, right? So chemotherapy, what are the main symptoms, right? If you have chemotherapy, what do you see people have? Yeah? No, it's not. No, it's not about oxygen, right? What falls out when you have chemotherapy? Hair. That's because hair is very, very fast growing, right? So the main ones, the main obvious signs of somebody having chemotherapy is the fact that hair falls out because the chemotherapy is attacking those because it's a fast growing cell. And also men often become infertile because sperms are also produced incredibly quickly. So that's kind of the way that chemotherapy works, by attacking the fastest growing cells.
that's one reason why somebody often will lose their hair when they're on chemotherapy, because they're on this medication that's targeting fast-growing cells, and your hair follicle cells are also fast-growing cells. Cancer cells have some other factors that make them difficult to treat. One is that cancers have the ability to secrete their own growth hormone. This is very bad, because growth hormone, in a sense, think of it as a hormone that says, feed me. What happens is the blood vessels will divert over to those cancer cells and supply the cancer cells with nutrients. This is not good, because this means the cancer cells will have the nutrients they need to keep growing out of control. It also can take nutrients away from nearby healthy cells. There's some medications that are being researched that maybe could stop the growth hormone from cancer cells. And in a sense, that would be great, because the cancer cells would not be able to get the nutrients to grow out of control anymore. Of course, you have to make sure that the medication is targeting just the cancer cells, and that you're not affecting the growth hormone of nearby healthy cells. Wouldn't want that. So it's kind of a tricky situation. So let's recap what we talked about today. We talked about the cell cycle, how cells are more frequently in interphase than they are in mitosis. Interphase is when cells are replicating their DNA, or they're growing, carrying out cell processes. In mitosis, the cells are actually dividing. We talked about how during this cell cycle, there's checkpoints that regulate the cell and keep the cell from being able to continue on if it's damaged, unless we're talking about cancer cells, which are cells that have escaped the checkpoints and are growing out of control. Be sure to check out our clip on mitosis. This process is really fascinating, but it's also a really important one in order to understand how your body cells work. That's it for the Amoeba Sisters, and remind you to stay curious.
Right. Okay. You don't need to write anything down, right? I've got 8 questions, right? Basically what they are is a true or false. Yeah? Yeah, because chemotherapy affects your white blood cells as well, right? So you should stay away from people for a while with chemotherapy. It's really, really nasty drugs, right? Nasty chemicals. Right, Jack, number 1, true or false? Mitosis is when the cell divides. Good. Robert, 3 new cells are produced after cell division.
No.
No, false. Kyle, during interphase, the cell grows and divides. False, yeah, it doesn't divide, it just grows. Scarlett, checkpoints ensure the cell is working as it should. True. Chloe, cancerous cells go through the cell cycle more slowly than normal cells. False, they go through quicker. Chardonnay, chemotherapy targets cells which divide rapidly. Right? True. Harvey, cells are in mitosis for about 90% of their lifetime.
No.
90%, right? 90% was the other bit, the interphase bit. What was the percentage that are in mitosis? 10%. Harvey, cancerous cells do not go through the checkpoints of the cell cycle. They don't. It is true, they don't go through the checkpoints. right? Because what you got is you've got a cancer cell that grows, and there's no stopping it at all. Right, we're not going to do any more now, right? So can you pack up your stuff, please? What? Wrong. Yeah, but don't do it. Right, Mohammed, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right, I'm going to ask you a question.
Alright.
What are the two stages of the cell cycle?
What, sir?
What are the two stages of the cell cycle?
Alright, so the first stage is you got a parent cell,
Right.
and then the chromosomes make an identical copy of the thing of themselves. Then they link up along the center, and the chromosomes begin to move apart. The cells begin to separate into two cells, and then two daughter cells form, with identical chromosomes to the parent cell.
Very good. Well done, Mohammed. Right. So you're listening. Right. Johan, unmute yourself, please. Right.
Okay, so,
Johan, what
yeah,
happens in interphase?
in interface, interface, the cells do their own job and they grow and they replicate their DNA.
Okay, right. Well done, Johan. Just testing to make sure you're awake and not in the room. All right. You guys can go now. Thanks for logging in.
Alright, thanks, sir. Bye.